time now for our rants and raves, starting with Dan.
I have a rant for the National Enquirer, which this week revealed the news that Amazon founder Jeff Bezos was stepping out on his wife with with somebody who was not his wife. Now, nothing wrong with that. That's what the Enquirer does.
It's a riveting story.
Right in their wheelhouse. It was entertainingly written too. But what I would like to know is, even though the National Enquirer and President Trump had their own divorce some months ago, I would like to know if there's a possibility that this had its origins in the president's war against Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post, which is a newspaper that he owned. Joe Scarborough, among others, has raised this issue as well. I have no problem with reporting on the foibles of celebrities, because that's what the Enquirer does. But if there's some hidden agenda there, I think we ought to find out.
Like how do they get onto it? And,
exactly.
It's interesting. All right, John.
Well, reptilian Fox talk show host Laura Ingraham was on a tear the other night about how the media, the left-wing biased anti-Trump media, is trying to manipulate public opinion on the shutdown by focusing on the, quote, sob stories of federal workers, and in many cases subcontractors, whose livelihoods are being affected by the lack of income. Well, you know, this is of a piece with a lot of what you hear on the right these days. Think of Corey Lewandowski doing fake crying noises during a debate over the family separation policy at the border, when the case of a 10-year-old Down syndrome girl was cited as a particularly sad outcome of this. But what really gets me is Laura Ingraham, many years ago when she was a student journalist at Dartmouth, was known for virulent, vicious homophobia, to the point where she outed a whole group of students on campus. Some years go by and her gay brother loses his companion to AIDS. And she's so touched and moved by observing the experience here that she allows us to how she regrets her coarse rhetoric earlier. Well, looks like she really didn't learn anything in the end.
Something happened to her. She's like, Adam.
I'd like to rant for the online conservative site, The Federalist. They had a young contributor die an untimely death recently. A young woman named Bree Payton, who died, I believe, of combination of the flu and meningitis. Her passing has elicited a lot of mourning, a lot of tributes in conservative but also mainstream media circles. But the Federalist just published an item that basically used her passing as a way to go after, I'm hearkening back to earlier in the show, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And the premise of the piece was Bree Payton's life shows just how small and limited and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. Completely bizarre move. I have never seen a in memoriam hatchet job before. This is a brand new genre. And I got to say, I think it's an incredibly poor taste to take this approach in writing about someone who's just passed away. I have no idea what they were thinking.
I don't even understand it.
Yeah.
No, it makes no sense.
I mean, the premise is, you know, I got to thinking after our esteemed colleague Bree Payton passed away about her life, and, you know, with all the coverage Ocasio-Cortez has gotten, how her life stacks up so much better than the coverage.
I'm blaming the internet for this. In the internet era, people don't think anymore. People don't pause to reflect and maybe realize this is in wicked poor taste. They just go for the snark.
All right, Tom.
How unfortunate that Alexander the Great died at 29 and we couldn't have that kind of a comment. I wanted to give, oddly enough, a rave to the Independent of Las Vegas. It's a nonprofit news site that didn't run a story that was really all about exposing sexual harassment at the big newspaper in Las Vegas. What was interesting is the editor saying he didn't run it because he feared that they would be put out of business by Sheldon Adelson in a slap suit.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, but I got to get going because mine is a rant for the management at the NBC station in Rochester, New York, who fired this anchor weatherman over the weekend, and this is what got him fired.
It's the way it looked out at Martin Luther King Jr. Park.
All right, so you heard him say Martin Luther King Park. He claims, this guy Jeremy Capel, that he didn't even know that what he had said, that It was a complete accident. It was an error. It wasn't intentional. The management of the station didn't learn about it until Sunday. They claim they did a full investigation, but they fired him that Sunday. There was some pressure from some people in the community, including the mayor. But now Al Roker, Don Lemon, a number of other people have said, this is ridiculous, this is absurd. It's a slip of the tongue. And he said that he tweeted out, would I ever risk my job, my reputation, my family, embarrassing my family by intentionally spewing racial slurs?
Is there any track record of this guy
No,
being
nothing.
some kind of
He
bigot?
says he's never used the word in his life.
I don't know anything about this guy, but I have definitely, reading off a prompter, gone ahead and taken a sound from something that I'm about to read and pulled it back a little bit, which seems like what he did here, taking that ooh vowel. I don't know, but...
It was a tough call, I have to say. I mean, I understand he said the word, and maybe that's just was a limit, but it seems like it was harsh. A rush to judgment, as he said.